Hey, I'm Geordie. Welcome back to the channel. And today I'm talking about what is in my motorcycle adventure travel camera bag. What's in my camera bag? Or more appropriately, in my case, what is in my Pelican case. I've made a separate video on Pelican cases and my thoughts on them, but I've got a huge Pelican case strapped onto the top of my motorcycle, the back of my motorcycle, and I've got my camera backpack in there. So we're gonna dive in, check out what's in my camera backpack inside the Pelican case. I'm also carrying some gear which will be on my side bags, which are not on the bike right now, but I've got the gear out on this table here to show more about what that is. I'm not going to go into heavy technical specs or like show images from lenses and things like that. There's tons of good reviews on YouTube, online, of all of this kind of stuff, getting into tech specs and getting into image examples. I mostly want to talk about what has led me to the gear that I've picked, and why I've picked it, basically. Why I'm taking what I'm taking on a motorcycle adventure from Florida to Argentina, what I'm going to use for both still photography and videography, filmmaking. So that is what I've collected here for this trip, and that is what I will show you. And I hope you enjoy the video. I hope you enjoy checking it out. If you're a photographer, videographer, maybe this will give you some ideas for travel. If you're just following along on the channel, then you can see all the stuff that I'm bringing along with me to make videos and take pictures. That's the whole purpose of my trip. I'm excited just to try to take pictures every single day, make videos. I'm enjoying both still and video, so just really excited about the prospects of doing that every day and getting better at it and having fun with it. And there's, it's never ending, the learning curve on, especially when it comes to like video editing and video making. So lots to learn, lots to talk about, lots of cool gear. And unfortunately with a motorcycle, the reality is you can't bring everything that you would like to bring. There's a lot more stuff I would love to bring, but man, I've had to have some really tough discussions with myself to say you've got to take all this and you've got to cut it in half, and we've done that several times now. So I think I've gotten it down to a manageable size, to trade-offs, to things that I think I'll use the most, and I'll talk a little bit more about those. So let me turn the microphone around, turn the camera around, and we will begin diving in to see what is in my adventure travel backpack, Florida to Argentina. First off, let's take a peek inside my tank bag. And what do we have in here? Well, lo and behold, we got a Fuji X100V. You're probably familiar with this guy. Awesome little camera. Kind of a trendy thing right now. Everyone's been interested in them. It was back ordered for a long time. It was hard for me to get my hands on one. It took a while. Eventually did. Awesome camera, 35mm fixed focal length. I'd considered this, and as well as a Canon point and shoot. I think this maybe has a little bit more megapixels. The Canon was a zoom. Trade-off. I just read so many good things about this camera that I just had to have it. I wanted this. As much as I love Canon, and I'm a Canon loyalist, I wanted to try this camera out. And I kind of like the idea of the fixed focal length. So this camera is going to live in my tank bag over here and be easily accessible for the purpose of riding along, seeing something that I want to try to catch a picture of, throw the bike into neutral, and grab this out. I think I could even operate it with my riding gloves on, and boom, take a picture. And then also, when I get to a place that I'm at, the other camera, which you'll see in a moment, my big camera is a Canon R5, and obviously much bigger lenses, so that's a much bigger form factor, and for walking around places, it might not always be the right move, and so this will be a lot smaller. I don't think this could fit into like a jeans pocket, but it could fit into like a hoodie pocket or a jacket pocket, so this is a lot more easy and more discreet to walk around town with. So that's why I picked that camera. There's tons of videos on it online, and you could check a lot out. I did a couple little mods to it. I got this thumb holder, and I got a bottom mount, which also has a wraparound holder for your fingers on the front. Really like that. Very cool. You can see it has the Peak design camera straps on it, so there's that. And I have both a Peak wrist strap and a Peak, here it is right here actually, camera strap. Peak design camera strap. I also got a custom shutter button for it, you can see, which is pretty cool. So anyway, yeah, super excited about this. I'm going to use it. I've been reading about their sort of automatic mode. You can set an automatic mode where you set the ISO parameters, and I guess then the shutter speed would be automatic. And you can see on the top here, you can set your aperture. I'm going to keep it set, I think, at 5.6. So as I said, kind of riding along, I want to snap a picture. I think 5.6 will be good for me, and a good trade-off between light and depth of field. And just have it in kind of a quick auto mode so I can take things on the fly. So that lives in the tank bag. Let's take a look back here now. I'm going to take this out and have it more accessible, but the Pelican case, this, I made a whole separate video on Pelican cases. This is the 1610. It's a large case. You could look at their website and it'll give the dimensions for both the exterior and the interior, but it fits, as you can see. It maybe looks like it doesn't right now, but it definitely does. I don't have, this comes with foam, which can go in the top part. I've taken that out because this backpack is already well protected. And it doesn't exactly fit with the foam in, but it fits with this in there. And this is the Shimoda Designs Explore V2 35-liter backpack. Shimoda, and I love it so far, army green. And then also kind of wedged back in here is another little camera backpack for walking around, Hex brand. Very cool camera backpack. Here, I'll pull this out and show a little bit about this real quick. Has a pouch right here, like fleece or felt lined or something, that's really nice. Another pouch right here on the side. And then the main compartment, which can fit like my Canon R5 with a lens on, and usually like another lens. So yeah, a camera and two lenses basically. Side pouch, another zippered pouch over here. I really like it. And it comes also, I believe, with a waterproof cover. So yeah, this is what I'll use to kind of carry around town with. Like that a lot. Okay, back to Shimoda. The other thing in here is my tripod. And let's pull this out. This is the Photo Pro. I don't know if it's called the Pantour. I guess it is T-Rock Max. And you know what? Here's the head that comes with it too. If I'm being honest, I would say I don't really love this tripod. I mean, I think the legs are, I think it's okay, but I kind of wish I got a really right stuff. I think that's the gold standard for tripods, or some people say Gitzo, but I've seen a lot of people really using really right stuff and very happy with the RRS things. My complaint about this thus far, so far I basically like it, but I've one major complaint, which I don't think is really just particular to this tripod. I think it might be a common theme with a lot of tripods, is that when you extend the legs, there are little plastic sheaths that are, I guess, supposed to prevent the leg from pulling all the way out of it. Well, they are like paper thin plastic, the cheapest piece that you can possibly imagine. And like on the first time, literally like the first time using this tripod, and this is a very expensive tripod. If you look it up, you can see how much it costs. It's really, really expensive with the ball head, but it's crazy expensive. And like literally first or second time using it, these plastic pieces like disintegrated on me, and so now the legs just pull all the way out without stopping. These pieces have fallen apart, broken, gone away. So my review on this thus far would be not super great, and I don't really love kind of some of the functionality of the ball head, to be honest. So yeah, I'm not sold on this. I'm not sold on this. Okay. Let me take the camera backpack out of the Pelican case and put it on the table, and we can dive in and look more closely at what's inside the Shimoda backpack. So I've taken the camera backpack out of the Pelican case now, and as I said, I made a separate video on Pelican cases, and I talked a little bit about this, but I thought I'd show right now. This is one piece of the foam that this case comes with. It comes with foam that fills up the entire case, but this is what I'm using on the bottom, and you can see how thick it is, probably 2 inches thick and very cushiony. So I'm confident that that will give me, I think, enough support on as a base layer for all of my camera gear on the bottom. And that's, I would ideally maybe like to have more, but that's all that I could fit. And as I said, I couldn't fit the foam on the top because there's just not enough room to close it. But I don't think I really need that because the top is kind of cushioned, and you won't be really banging around up there, so I'm not too concerned about that. Okay, so moving over and looking at the camera backpack. One thing to note up here on the top is a laptop sleeve, and this holds my MacBook 16-inch completely in there. So that's cool. That's one of the reasons I picked this bag, because it holds a 16-inch M1 MacBook Pro, safe and sound, up here in the top. Very cool. Okay, I'm still kind of finalizing the organization of this, so it may appear to be kind of a mess right now, which it is. So as I said, though, motorcycle travel, I'm trying to squeeze everything in here that I can. So I have two of these Peter McKinnon nomadic filter cases that hold 6 filters each, 3 pages of filter holders, and I don't have the filters in there right now. I got to place them in, but I have some Polar Pro as well as some case filters of like ND filters and variable ND filters, and maybe some other special things like night sky filters. I got to decide which ones I'm going to take. I have room for 6. I also have in here some filter wrenches. These are a nice thing to have. If you don't have them, those suckers can get stuck on there really tightly and become really difficult to get off. So I've got a set of those. So 2 of these, I like these because, well, I think Peter McKinnon makes pretty good stuff. Nomadic does. I think they're both interested in making quality products. And I like the slim, sleek profile of these. Some, are fatter, wider, thicker, so they take up more space like that. These 2 can sit right on in here on the top, and then that's also a nice level surface for my laptop to close down on. So I like that. So those are cool. Happy with those. Next, you see here, I have got a DJI Pocket 2, and this may not be entirely necessary. I've not even used it yet, but I got it for videoing around town when I want to be more discreet. The GoPro, by the time I put a microphone on top of it and a tripod handle and everything, it is very noticeable. It's not discreet. But look at how tiny this is. I mean, this is in the palm of my hand. This is a lot smaller than a GoPro in form factor. So, and I think the audio, from the videos I've seen online on YouTube, the audio that comes out of this is quite good. The picture is quite good. And, I mean, this takes up like hardly any space at all. So I'm just really intrigued by this little guy. I think it will be a really convenient, nice thing to have. So I'm bringing that. Okay, diving in here, go right here. We've got 2 a Rugged and a Pelican SD card cases, or CF Express. I think the Pelican holds my CF Express cards, 6 of those made by Angelbird. I've got 2 1 terabyte and 4 512s. Should be good to last me for a while. My MacBook is pretty spec'd out. I've got a lot of storage on that too. So I think I'll be fairly good with storage. Rugged will hold the micro cards as well as SD and SD micro cards. So that's the deal with this. Okay, just kind of working my way down. These are extension tubes right here. I would love to be able to bring a macro lens, but can't swing it, so I have some extension tubes to get sort of macro in. Those work well. This is my extender, my RF extender 1.4. Now, I know these are somewhat controversial because Canon, because people say just crop. But if you're shooting video, then I think it potentially makes sense. And also, if you just crop, then you're not still at 45 megapixels. Obviously, you're cropping into your megapixels. So I think it's kind of 50-50. And for video, I bought this mostly for wildlife. If I, have cool wildlife I want to film off in the distance, and I need more length than the big lens that I have, then I think that'll be cool. So I'm interested to work with that. I've not tried it yet. I haven't worked with it, but There's a lot of reviews on there. They're controversial. Some people swear by them. Other people say it's dumb and you should just crop. So I'm going to give it a shot and see what I can figure out. This right here is, you'll see momentarily, I have a collection of manual lenses. And this is an adapter for M42, which is like a screw mount, to RF. So that's what that is. Moving in further, I have a Mavic 3. So Mavic 3 drone, I'm not even going to pull that out right now, but boom, went with the Mavic 3. Unfortunately, it is larger than a lot of their other drones, like the Air. So it takes up a lot of space, but I think drone footage is amazing, and I wanted to have really, really good drone footage because I'll be in amazingly beautiful, once-in-a-lifetime places, so I wanted my drone footage to be as good as I could make it. Here's the controller for it. And here's an extra battery. There's one in the drone, and then there's one more. So it will come with, I'm bringing 2 batteries. Let's get the camera out. Here is the big guy. And I have a small rig cage on it. Is the cage really necessary? No, I don't think so, but I have it for a couple reasons. One, obviously it does protect the camera a little bit, so I guess that's a good beneficial thing. And here's the handle. And that's actually one of the main reasons that I like it, is for the handle for video, because I have a DJI Ronin gimbal, but it's just too big. I can't bring it. And so I would love to have it, but I can't. So, this camera has great stabilization, but I really like using the handle for video. So I think that's cool to be able to have that. And then I also have, as an attachment, which I'm trying to find a place for, the small rig side handle. And so I can put this on right here. And then I can use 2 hands. I could just look at the screen, LCD screen on the back, and be pretty stable. And what can also further stabilize, maybe I would do, is just leave the ball head for my tripod attached to the bottom of the cage, and if you have a little extra weight on the bottom, that can help stabilize you. And the other cool thing about this is it comes with a whole mount on the bottom. There's a little mount wrench, so you can still get at your battery, you can still get at your SD card on the side, and it has some protectors and adapters, controllers for getting into your panels on the side there to hold wires in place and such. So yeah, I like the small rig. And so Canon R5 is the news there, but most people are familiar with what the R5 is, so I'm not going to go into its details. I've been using it a lot and I love it. I've always loved Canon gear. Between Canon and Sony, Nikon, I chose this. I like the Canon color science better. From the videos I watched, a lot of people talk about the Canon menu system being a little bit more straightforward than other camera systems. There's a lot to dive through on the menu system, not going to lie there, but I found it to be not too hard to learn, really. There's great videos online, tutorials about how to make various camera settings and what all the stuff means, and it takes a little bit of time to learn, but not too bad. You can begin to learn it rather quickly. So as you may have noticed, on here right now is the 70-200, and this is basically my favorite lens. I don't know that I really actually need to bring this lens, if I'm being totally honest, but it's my favorite lens. And as photographers, we all have our favorite lens, what we just like the most, and that changes over time. But right now, this is my favorite lens. I love the rendering of it. It's f2.8. This is the 2.8 version, so good for low light, good for blowing out a background on a portrait or something. So I just feel that there's a lot I can do with it. I've used it a lot. I kind of know it and love it. And 70 is, great sort of portrait length. I can work with 70. You don't have to be too far back for 70. I really kind of like 50 more for that, but 70 is, kind of a happy medium between 50 and like 85 or 90. So 70 is cool. And then 200 is just really sweet. It's still at f2.8 at 200. I just love it. I mean, I bought this as the kit, the R5 kit, so it came with the 24-105 f4, which is a great lens. I've really actually only used it a little bit, but The problem there is, I mean, f4 isn't as great as f2.8, and then I really do like the 24, but only going up to 100. I mean, the difference between 100 and 200 is a lot, and I tend to prefer more kind of tighter shots and detail as opposed to wide angle shots. So this is, I think, going to be what's going to stay on there the most, and I will enjoy using the most, and I can't really live without that lens. It's my favorite. Next, you do, as I mentioned, sort of wide angle. You got to have a wide angle, especially for this trip, and there's going to be amazing scenery and landscapes to capture. So we've got the Canon 15 to 35 f2.8. So again, great reviews, lots of information online about this lens. Won't go into detail. And finally, if we dip into here, my final lens, drum roll, is the big guy. This is the waterproof cover for my bag. Microphone, I'll talk more about that in just a second. All right, the big guy. We've got the 100 to 500, and I love this lens. I've used this a bunch. I did some shoots of equestrian riders, horseback equestrian, and I mean 500, this lens takes fantastic pictures. Even at 500, like the background could get blurred out. I've taken pictures, family portraits for a friend of his daughter's water skiing, and you just get 500 millimeters is a lot to work with. But that is a big, heavy lens. That is no joke compared to, it's bigger than the entire camera and the 200. So substantial. I mean, if I try to put this in the camera bag, it takes up like a third of the camera backpack. So it's going above the cube, and that's where it's going to live. Love that lens. That would be something that I just couldn't live without. I envision using that for wildlife mostly, landscape. Could be, you know, ships, sailboat out on the ocean, on the beach, surfers, sports, wildlife. I really am more of a long focal length guy than a wide focal length guy. So, but I've got the wide focal length covered with the 15 to 35. So I think that's, you know, I have other lenses. Like I said, I have the 24 to 105, and I have the RF50, which is probably my favorite lens. But I've got some vintage lenses, which I'll show momentarily, and 70 is close to 50. So that was my thinking. I have the wide covered, 15 to 35. I don't really even like to go to 15. I think that gets too wide and distorted. I don't really like to go below 24. So, but I probably will. But anyway, 15 to 35, 70 to 200, favorite lens. 100 to 500, incredible lens. Those will be my three, and I would like to have more, but I can't, so that's it. Over here are two external hard drives. So these are, I believe, the SanDisk. So I have two of these SanDisk 4 terabyte external hard drives. Incredible how small these are. Form factor, and not too much bigger than a credit card, really. So two of those, and I'm just have put them into my little Peak Design pouches. They fit really well. That's nice. So two of those over there. Final thing in here, well, two final things to show is these are my DJI microphones. Super cool. Wireless mics by DJI. You can look those up. And then I have this other lens in here. This is my Franken lens. This is a custom-made projector lens made into a camera lens. Custom-made helicoid focuser. RF mount. The lens itself was custom made. Of the glass inside was like taken apart in a combination of various glasses. The helicoid is custom made to focus. The whole thing. The focal length is somewhere between 50 and 60 millimeters. and I think it's about an f2.4, but it just has really interesting rendering and bokeh, and it's exceptionally unique. I wouldn't be bringing it and taking up space, and I'm not sure if this is where it's going to permanently live, but I wouldn't be taking it if it wasn't exceptional and very interesting. So stay tuned and you'll see pictures from that. I only just got it, so I've barely even used it, but I really, really like it, and I'm very excited to have it and very excited to use it. And I feel like, I like things that are not only vintage, but this was custom made by an artist, photographer, and I think it's just cool to support artists, but also I just like and value things that are unique and different. You know, these modern lenses like this are fantastic and amazing and take incredible images, but sometimes they're so perfect. It maybe leaves a little bit to be desired. There's not a lot left to chance, or they're great. It's not a slight on them or a complaint or a knock at all. Amazing lenses. This is probably my favorite lens of all time. But there's other ways of doing things, and these vintage lenses can really create some beautiful, unique, characterful, artistic images. More of an art lens than a technical lens. Okay, finally, last that was in there, up front with the RF 100 to 500 is this Sennheiser microphone. And I chose this one because it's stereo, and it has obviously the dead cat on it, but there's actually, you can see my finger going between it, there's two microphone heads in here, and so it's stereo. And I haven't even used it yet, but I want to try that for, a lot of different things. Like, what if I'm on the beach, by the ocean, nice stereo sound for crashing waves, out in the jungle or amidst wildlife at night, or all the different animals that can be making sounds, having stereo for that. I think I can also use the DJI mics in a kind of stereo configuration, and I'll be experimenting with that, but I'm a big fan of stereo sound. As a guitar player with effects pedals and stuff, I made a whole pedal board with stereo effects, and stereo is, I think, just a cool touch. So anyway, stereo mic, I think that's sweet. Here was my two cases, that's going back in. Right here we have a think tank bag that I don't know if I'll be able to bring because, as I said, everything takes up space. This is the mirrorless Mover 5, but it fits the Fuji X100V, so that's what that's for. Hopefully that'll go with me and I'll find a place for it. This is my small rig handle. Hopefully that will go, and I'll find a place for that. You may have seen these off to the corner up here. These are a set of 2 knee pads. I just bought these on Amazon, and one thing that I've learned in doing photo shoots is, especially if there's like smaller people involved, kids and stuff, I always want to get low, and getting low means getting down on your knees. And oftentimes in Florida, and where I'll be in Latin America, I'll probably have shorts on, and if the ground is anything other than like foam cushion, your knees just get thrashed. I mean, I've practically worked my knees to drawing blood in different conditions, whether it's like asphalt roadways or even if it's just dirt. There's often sticks and rocks and gravel mixed in, and you're getting down on your knees and it just thrashes your knees. So I'm looking, I think I might put at least one in here, maybe up in the up front compartment with the RF 100 to 500 kind of beneath it or something, and so I could throw one knee pad on and be able to kneel down conveniently without destroying my knee. I'm trying to find a place for this. This is an aperture LED light that's rechargeable, and I would like to have one light with me, so I'm going to try to get that in there somewhere, probably make it fit. There was the pocket too, that was going in there somewhere. My 2 Peter McKinnon bags, the ball head. Here's a GoPro 3-way tripod, or selfie stick. Don't absolutely need this, may or may not go. So you may have figured this out. I'm shooting with the GoPro right now, and man, I have such a love-hate relationship with these cameras. I have 3 of them. I have 2 GoPro 10s, and I just sprang for a GoPro 11 because of the new 10-bit color and the new larger sensor, so you can get a bigger image size. You could get vertical, you could get horizontal. I think the 10-bit color from the videos I've seen, I've really noticed it not so much in like, wow, the colors are just amazing and it's incredible new difference in color. What I've noticed by looking closely is that you get more detail in the shadows. And, you know, for traveling like I'm going to be on roadways often with trees hanging over and going in and out of light and shadows, I think the added shadow detail could be cool. And by the time you color grade stuff and everything, I think the 10-bit color will make a difference. And there's also some other cool features like different like star trails and stuff. I think it's maybe not entirely necessary for sure, but I'm interested to give it a shot. Okay, this is my Peak Design tech pouch, which has, I'm not going to take stuff out, but as you can see, all kinds of cords, adapters, SD card readers. My MacBook will read my SD card, but I have this just as a backup in case. All sorts of different stuff. Batteries. I'm traveling with 3 Canon batteries and I think 2 or 3 Fuji batteries. Probably 3 of each. Side pouch over here has other things. I have a tool, I think made by Smart Rig Tool. So all kinds of stuff in there. This Peak Design tech pouch I would highly recommend. This thing's awesome. I've fit so much stuff in here. It has everything I need in there. And that'll probably go in one of the side bags on my motorcycle, like right there. I don't have room for it in the camera backpack, and I don't have room for it in the Pelican case. So that is a challenge. Now, these other 2 things here, these are also slightly a challenge, but 100% necessary. This little Shimoda bag that I got holds all my camera cleaning stuff. So there's like fluid and sensor cleaners and stuff like that. I also have, you know, a rocket air blower that was going also up in the front compartment with the RF 100 to 500, but I can't find it right now. I desperately need to find this before I go, so I'm like tearing the place apart looking for my rocket blower. So that'll turn up hopefully. This pouch right here, another Shimoda pouch, is going to hold, and they're not even all in there, all of my chargers. There's so many chargers between laptops and cameras and just endless amounts of chargers. So this case is going to hold all of my chargers, as well as this is I think like that's a expander for hotel rooms. I mean, who knows where I'll be, what the outlets will be like. And this big cube right here is an international adapter, so it has different adapters for, there's I think going to be several different outlet adapters that I'll encounter in Latin America. I think Mexico has the same as America, but you get into some some South American countries and they get like European style and stuff, so need that. Okay, this is a little tripod that I like mostly for this Zoom. This is my Zoom recorder that I've used a lot for recording like my band and stuff like that, but I'm thinking I might bring it to do either like voiceover work or like recording ambient stuff of nature, because I really like this. It does a great job, and I would like to bring it to have. There's the Zoom. So trying to find a spot for that, and this little tripod is great for it. And I could maybe even put a camera on this. I like this little handy tripod. I've had that for a long time, and I use it, just something cheap I bought off Amazon. Okay, GoPros. I mentioned 3 GoPros. Man, love-hate relationship with GoPros. Let's just talk about them for a second. You know, the footage can be pretty good. You know, I usually shoot 4K 30 on it, but already I've been shooting today, and this is overheated several times to me now. So they overheat, number 1. Number 2, it crashes and freezes on me like all the time. And then, you know, if you've used them at all, if it crashes, what you have to do is pull the battery out and then replace it. But in order to do that, I have the media mod on here. So you've got to disconnect the microphone off of the media mod, then take the media mod off, then take your tripod handle off, then pull the whole media mod out, then pull the battery out, and then reverse the whole process. Put the battery back in, put your media mod back on, reattach your microphone, and then reattach your whole tripod handle. And I mean, it crashes a lot, like practically every time I've used it. And what I've found, though, I think that makes it crash the most is if you just use the shutter button as quick on off. It doesn't like to do that a lot. I think that makes it crash, is using that on the shutter button as the quick on off. It does not really like that. So 3 GoPros going. I have this one GoPro case that's going to have all my GoPro accessories in here. I need to refine that. I have GoPro ND filters made by Polar Pro, and so I have 2 sets of those because I'll have 2 GoPros, one mounted to my helmet for like a forward facing view, and then I have one that will be mounted right here on my handlebars for a rear-facing view of me riding on the bike. Other things I have in here, I have the light mod for it. That's a really bright little LED light. This is the max lens mod in here, really small. I need to just go through this and put in, these are some tripod adapters. I need to just make sure I have all the things I need and have. Now, here's some screws in here, and that brings me to another point with GoPro. Okay, so my gripes with GoPro are, number one, that it crashes and freezes, and then taking it apart is just a disaster, and it's really inconvenient, and it drives me crazy. So the crashing. Number two, the overheating. I get it. Almost all cameras overheat, so that's not really to be unexpected. But really at 4K 30, it overheats a lot. But I guess they're so small, I don't know, it overheats. And third, which I find almost completely unforgivable, is that we're at the Hero 11 now. GoPro has been making these cameras for a very long time, and they still ship with these screws that are not long enough to work with the media mod. They aren't long enough. You get it screwed in, and then it's like really challenging and difficult and awkward and uncomfortable to try to unscrew the GoPro with the media mod off of like a tripod or some sort of mount. I mean, I just look at that as like a slap in the face from GoPro of like, I mean, obviously they must use their own cameras and know that the screws aren't long enough and are not convenient to use. And so I don't get it. I don't understand it. I think it's ridiculous. And you can buy on Amazon longer screws. I've bought some, and they are such a difference maker, total game changer. So stinks that you have to do that. You would think GoPro would make better screws. I mean, unbelievable. Okay, this other GoPro case, this is an older one that I've had for a long time, and boom, I'm excited to open this up because this is also going to go in a side bag, and this is my secret little pouch right here. And we've got 5 vintage lenses, and man, I've culled this down. I have a big collection, and there's so many other lenses I would love to bring with me, but this isn't going to happen. So this guy right here, the Pentax 50 millimeter f1.4, the 8 element one. There's a 7 element version and an 8 element version. This is the 8, and it has a great rendering. This is a beautiful lens. So, and it's such a small form factor. I mean, a 1.4 50, amazing. This next one is a Carl Zeiss Flektagon Jena, pronounced Jena. This is German, so Jena, Carl Zeiss Jena Flektagon, and this is the 35 2.4. Beautiful lens. In the community of vintage lenses, this one is highly regarded and takes beautiful pictures, so I'm very excited to have that. And if you stay tuned to my channel, you'll see images from it. We got here another Carl Zeiss lens, and this is a special lens. This guy, I love this guy. This is a Carl Zeiss Jena, but this is a Biotar, a 58 millimeter f2. 258, you can see. And what's special about this lens is, well, look at this old aluminum. This is probably from the 60s. I love these silver lenses. M42 mount. I think these are all M42s. The Pentax is M42. This Zeiss is 42. This is 42. But yeah, so back to the Biotar. This is known and is famous for making a swirly bokeh. It'll swirl the background. And there's a number of Russian lenses that copied this lens, the Helios, which I have some of those, and they're really cool, and they're famous for doing the swirl, but they are a copy of this German lens, so that's why they do that. So it's this Carl Zeiss Biotar Jena 58 millimeter f2. Swirly background. Stay tuned if you want to see cool pictures from this lens. I love this lens, and I'm so excited to own it. Okay, next up, we got another Pentax Super Takumar, and this is a 135 f2.5, which, look at Super Takumar 135 2.5. I mean, I'm back. It's the next day. I was editing this video last night, and the ending was gone. Apparently the GoPro decided to freeze on me again and not finish the rest of my video. So we're back. I was just about finished. There's only a couple things to finish describing. I was talking about this lens right here, which I love. It is the Pentax Super Takumar 135 f2.5. I forget exactly where I left off, but just to recap, I love this lens. It's 135 f2.5, so its rendering is beautiful. It totally blows out backgrounds and reduces them to like just creamy colors and without any detail. So amazing lens. One thing to note, I'm not sure if that lens is, but it's kind of interesting about a lot of these vintage lenses. You can maybe notice that that it's kind of yellowed on the front element, and a lot of them are radioactive. Not dangerously, to a dangerous degree that they're going to kill you or anything, but they are. Many of these vintage lenses are made with thorium in them, so they are actually radioactive. I'm not sure if that one is that I just showed, but it looked like it was kind of yellowed. So many are. I'm not sure if that one was, but just kind of an interesting note. I also realized I didn't really show the front element of this Pentax lens, which I love. So there's that one. That's also a Super Takumar, and this is the 8 element one, as I said, Super Takumar 1.450. So very cool lens. This one may as well be radioactive, I'm not certain, but beautiful lens. Excited to use that one. Very excited to use that one. And finally, the last lens that I wanted to just show, make mention of in here, is this Olympus. I really like the Olympus colors, beautiful rendering on these lenses. This one is kind of known, infamous maybe, perhaps, for being kind of quirky and chaotic and having a unique rendering. It's a 55 1.2, so that's cool. You know, a lot of light capability there, a lot of really blowing out a background. This one looks a little yellow too, so it could be radioactive, but these Zuiko lenses, I really like them a lot. They have a relatively small form factor. I like the grip on the focus ring. I like the coloring, the rendering, and this lens, as I said, is known for being kind of chaotic, unpredictable, and I sort of like that in a lens, you know. I don't know, I mean, I guess it's a nice combination of both. With the RF lenses, you have predictable, you have superior lenses that take amazing images, and you can rely on that and take it to the bank. Some of these vintage lenses are a little bit more quirky and artistic and full of character and unpredictable. And that's fun too. You know, it's like a grand experiment to see what you get and be surprised. An element of surprise and adventure in your photography. So that's why I like these really. And I really have gotten into enjoying the manual focus of it all. Using focus peaking on the R5. You can't use the 3 arrows. That's only if it's like a lens that's talking to the camera, like an EF lens or an RF lens. You could switch it to manual, and then you can line up the 3 dots, which works really well. But the focus peaking works pretty well. Or the other thing you can do is zoom in and take a picture while you're zoomed in, so you can see how clear it is when you're zoomed in. So that is the end of the video, really. It's, as I said, the next day, so all of my gear is inside. I just brought this back outside onto this table to finish talking about a couple things, and I just missed yesterday wrapping up the 135 2.5 and the Olympus. So that's my collection of 5 lenses. I have more, but this is all I could fit to take with me of my vintage manual lenses, and I'm really excited to use those on a daily basis, hopefully, and just see what they can produce, experiment, have fun with it for both still and video. I think they'll do a great job for video. So that's it. Over and out on the camera gear. Please like, comment, subscribe, tell me what you think. If you have questions, I'd love to hear comments on my gear, on what you think of maybe the manual lenses or Canon stuff, or just whatever. It would be really fun and interesting for me to engage with the community and see what people think, and if you have questions or comments, then I'd like to hear them. So thank you for watching, and I will hope to see you in the next video. Look forward to seeing you, chatting with you, and take care. Adios.